GM. This is Web3 Writers by Vagobond Media. I'm CD Fishio, your host, joined by my co-host, Riona Morgan. I see myself and Musashi in the audience, and Riona, of course, is on stage with me. Riona, how are you today?
I am good. I am good. I decided that I would have spaces out in the morning air. And so I'm just kind of hanging out, looking out at the mountains and really enjoying myself. So I'm so excited to be here with everyone. Thank you.
That is such the way to do it. I mean, we don't have to be trapped to our computer. We can carry our phones with us. We can carry our AirPods with us. I can just lie down on the couch like this right now. So, Musashi, if you want, we'd be happy to bring you up on the stage with us if you want. Um, but I wanted to talk a little bit just to start out about something I have been having so much fun with this week. Hey, I see Dylan's joined us too. Let's get him up on the stage. Let's see. There's a speaker. And we've got Musashi as a speaker now. Cool. Okay, so what I was going to say to you guys is I've been having so much fun with Lamina One. It's just silly. I mean, it's got really at the moment no more functionality than Scent, and probably a little bit less. But I, Edward Carpenter and I were just playing around. He was doing some book sales. He was like offering claim tickets because you can do nothing but a basic NFT, just a visual NFT, like a JPEG. And so he's been doing claim tickets for some of his books, and I think I got the first one. We actually did the first NFT transaction on Lamina One, and then he said something. He was like, "What do we call ourselves? We call ourselves Lamsters." And I was like, "Oh, that's super fun. Let's make Lamsters." So I used AI to generate a piece of art that was a lamb plus a hamster, and just super cute little thing, and and people loved it. So I was like, okay, I'll put it up for auction because there's not a sale function yet. There's not a marketplace yet. I was like, I'll put it up for auction. So it ended up going up for auction. And I've done like 15 of these now, and people started requesting specific things. So we did like an undead one and a vampire one, and a bunch of other just like Afrofuturist one, steampunk, all that. I did one that represents sort of my CD avatar as well. But it's just been so much fun to like play with this, and I'm trying to think how we can bring storytelling into that, and especially since at the moment Lamina One you can't really do like a PDF like the README book or Mentor paged out. Allows you to do a flip book and create like an actual readable book, but Lamina One doesn't have that yet. Um, so I'm trying to think how to play with that, but I would love you guys' ideas on how to play with storytelling and just random JPEGs. And Dylan, I thought we'd brought you up. Let's add you again here. And we see Odd Writings has joined us. It's nice to see you. It's been a little while. Aich, I don't remember you, but I bet you've been here before, and we're glad to have you. We'll invite you up to speak too. Maybe you got something to say. But anyway, what do you guys think, Riona? We'll start with you. What do you think about the Lamster thing, the Lamina One thing? Any thoughts or ideas how to incorporate storytelling into that? Using just basic JPEGs. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do have some ideas. And I it is on my to-do list. I have like a work to-do list, and then I have like a interest to-do list where it's like, I really want to have fun with this and look at this. And so there's like flash fiction that you might be able to have like a story, 3 word, 4 word uh story, or 6 word story, or maybe 2 sentence story on a JPEG with some accompanying photos, or AI art or whatever. And Odd Writings actually does a great job of this, which he is utilizing with Scent. And so it might be really fun to be able to do. And then you might be able to like pass the story, like the next person. I don't know. There's got to be a way to incorporate storytelling and maybe extending the story, but utilizing, like micro flash fiction or something like that. That might be really cool.
It's a great idea. So I should tell you the other thing that's available on Lamina One is you can tip creators. We all early adopters were able to claim 5 L1 tokens, and so we've all been playing with those L1 tokens. I've looked at the blockchain though, and there's some people who obviously like did some heavy duty farming because there's people that have hundreds and hundreds, and so I'm not real sure. Maybe that's team members, or maybe that's people that just did like, lots of accounts. But I think the Lamina One team has been pretty good at weeding out farmers and, getting those people not to get rewarded, which is something that needs to happen in Web3. But I love this idea of flash fiction, odd writings. Maybe you can speak a little bit to what Riona was saying and what you've been doing with Scent and how that might work.
Hey, well, essentially, I'm replicating what people have been doing a long time on Instagram and Twitter, which is I write poems, and so basically, I just have a background that is related to the poem, and then I put the poem on the background, and then the only difference here is that I create it as an NFT. I mean, it works well because poems can be short, right? But I like Riona's idea of having the story that goes on. Uh, that's a good idea. I'm unfamiliar with Lamina One, so everything you guys say about Lamina One is going to be new to me. So that's very good. Uh, uh, that's I guess that's my input.
Well, it's pretty new to everyone. I mean, it's been in development for a while now, but in general, like the blockchain itself just launched the main net, and they have all kinds of things that they haven't brought out yet. So don't feel bad. It's all pretty new. But I do recommend that you guys get on there and start playing around with it because I think it could be a lot of fun. I saw Dylan has an account on there, but Dylan, have you used it much yet? Lamina One?
Man, I haven't. But my whole idea for the question that we're doing right now is to add a bunch of other new things in. You say you can do an image. Why not create a block book? And then you could create a Scent NFT, maybe a README book, maybe a FriendTech chat group. And you could use Blockbook to kind of link all these things together, and kind of enable people to come and, put some cash in to tag their mark on the home, whatever it might be, like whether there's, if you're a big nerd like me, you'll probably do an essay this way or a book. And then basically like use this to facilitate discussion around that. And you kind of have like the slush discussion, you have the FriendTech discussion, and then you have the permanent like on-chain thing that Blockbook enables, and there's no reason that you couldn't just throw Lamina One right into the mix, and build these things on top of pretty much anything that you're already building there.
Super cool ideas. Hey, in terms of friend tech, I sort of like used it a little bit, logged in, claimed some tokens, sold them, and lost interest. What have you been doing with Llama or with friend tech? How has that been working out for you, and why do you like or not like it? What do you see as the positives there of friend tech?
Sure. Well, I've done the same thing that you've done, except I only sold half my tokens up front, and my goal was to kind of farm the rest of it by playing the game that they have there. And basically, the game is that you figure out what the bunnies are going to do and do it first, and then you get paid. So, I mean, it's a fairly degen thing, and it's not all that, experimental really in terms of deep value yet. But I think there have been a lot of experiments. I've been honored to be a part of that and to meet some of the other devs that are building on the platform. And there are smart people in that part of Web3 too. So I'm happy to say that it's been a learning experience and a growing experience. And the best part of FriendTech is certainly the other users and not the app yet. Because I mean, while it's a robust primitive, I still don't think that the actual value capture is there. And mostly it's a fairly PvP type of thing to do.
Super cool. That actually sheds quite a bit of light on it for me. Musashi, you're up on the stage, but you've been quiet so far. What are your thoughts on all this stuff?
Um, I'm with you. Always been a big Lamina One or Lamina fan, just because of Neil Stevenson. Really appreciate his views on the world and the game we've been playing, and very impressed that he basically said, "Hey, what I was envisioning here is basically being crapped on, and I'm gonna have to come here and build it myself." didn't He didn't plan on it, but since groups like Meta and others like that really exploiting a beautiful vision that the man had. Um, and yeah, I've been all over the Zealy, every day doing the check-ins, everything I can. But to speak to the idea that you have, how can we take advantage of this new platform with as limited interactions that we can deal with. My idea of bringing more of our content on chain. I kind of spoke a little bit on it last week. I want to see a real print shop and real comics and real books spit out. And as a, first little taste test to people, I've started creating some examples of single page, single card, almost like Japanese manga comics. Or you could even call them like a player's card. But basically taking a first example of PageDAO core team members as they are building out their visions for PageDAO and writing some articles that they would love to see written 25 years from now about what we're currently building, and turning that into a single page, multi-column little comic strip. And I've played with, turning that into a simple JPEG, and it's very easily digestible. But we can put like a very simple story into one page, one JPEG that really tells like each person's vision, what they would love to see come out of PageDAO, and really have some like future visions of what that might look like and how it has affected society. You can put so much into a single image, let alone text added to that image. It's pretty amazing what our minds can do with a single pane.
Dude, as always, bringing the wisdom in droves. Like, I've told this story a lot, but when my grandmother died, she was the closest person to me. Like, she always seemed to get me. And when she died, I had this dream where she appeared in my dream, and she said, "Never forget, the best minds are made up of more than one." And it's so true, and it's why I'm so glad to be part of this community. So glad to be able to meet with you guys, all of you, on a regular basis here and there and everywhere. And one of those minds that I actually love meeting with is E.R. Donaldson. I've been writing in his Nethraverse on T2 lately, and it has been so much fun. He's like given a lot of license. He did like a big primer so I could sort of understand this huge sprawling world that he's built so that we all could. And it's an open invitation. He's invited people to write in the Nethraverse. So I've been writing about a world I created and a sort of like a religious sect around one of the deities that exists in his universe. And it's just been so much fun. ER, can you speak with us? How are you?
Hey, I'm here. I'm glad you teed me up with something to talk about because my initial response is going to be shit. You're going to make me follow Musashi? Like that isn't fair. But no, things have been good. I've enjoyed seeing what different folks have been writing out there for the little T2 contest in association with Twigtails. Loved your stuff in particular, CD. You take more liberties than most, but that's what I like to see from you there. Really different take on it. It's been fun. So. Contest is still ongoing, so if you guys want to check it out, head over to t2.world and feel free to jump in. There's still plenty of room for more submissions.
Hey, so maybe you could use this opportunity to sort of tell people like do you have an elevator pitch for the Nethraverse? And it doesn't have to be 10 seconds. I mean, take a couple minutes if you want to, but just to sort of tell people the basis of it so that they can have an idea of what is the Nethraverse all about.
Yeah, sure. So basically the Nethraverse arrives at the intersection between
You're cutting in and out on us, I think you are, at least on me.
Yeah, I'm also having trouble hearing him.
Dag nabbit. The Nethraverse is hiding itself once again from us.
How's it now?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So basically the Nethraverse is the intersection where religion and superstition intersect with technology. The codex goes into a lot more of the specifics, but essentially it takes place in
a universe that is at least 1,000 years ahead of where we currently are, and some change. There's the way I pitched it conceptually is it's like Firefly and Mass Effect meet Star Wars under a very cyberpunk heavy metal filter. So there's lots of different avenues to take in there. I've seen a couple good stories on kind of the smuggler, never do well Han Solo kind of archetype there. One of them was kind of a classic adventure story. The other one deviated more into cosmic horror, which is a genre I happen to love. And then there's things like CD's approach, where he's kind of focused on one of the underdeveloped cults, which are essential part of the mythos and what makes it a little different from some of the other sci-fi franchises out there. So yeah, any questions y'all have for me? Happy to go into more detail, but again, I tried to distill this all down into a short little document that goes over what's been fleshed out in the universe already as far as timelines, known species, things like that. But like any fantasy and science fiction universe, there's plenty of room to go from there. So I try to leave it open for everybody.
Can you pin that into the chat? Either put it up in the nest or just like respond to the
Yep,
space. That would be great. That way people can have an easy access to it.
I'll snag it.
I couldn't help laughing when you said, CD, you take more liberties than most. Like, I know it's a problem. I tend to go too far, but I'm glad that you approve of it. Dylan, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Hey, yeah, forgive me for being slightly off topic here, but I see Spire and H in the audience, and they are special guests of ours today. They're interested in collaborating with PageDAO, and so I just wanted to kind of take a minute and give them a shout out, and let you know that, they may want to come up and chat at some point.
Super cool. They have been sent invites. If they do want to come up, that would be cool, and would love to hear what they're doing and what's going on in their Web3 writers world. Okay, so if you guys have questions for ER, go ahead and throw them out. Or if you don't have questions for ER and you want to take some time to explore the Nethroverse on your own before you dive into it, then feel free to tell us, what have you seen this week that's interesting in Web3? What is going on with you? What have you been exploring? What have you been spending your Web3 writer time doing? And I'll just shut off my mic and you guys just go right ahead and take it from here.
Well, I've been writing my poems. What I usually do is I have a book and NFTs, and I try to mix the two together. And so I've been doing that. But as I've been doing that, from time to time, I'll run across something which may be new or may be old. And what I've run across this week is pods.media, which apparently you can make NFTs out of pods, these things. And then I also came across boost.xyz, which is kind of like an advertising thing for NFTs, which is kind of neat. And then something called DaVinci, which is an NFT thing using a particular type of token. Those are my 3 discoveries of the week.
Those are pretty cool. What's DaVinci all about? What is that? What are you using it for?
I'm not yet. These are basically things that I've found, but I have yet to really investigate to see what. I'm assuming. I mean, it looks like I can use it for something, but it may be that on closer inspection, it turns out to be not that helpful. So I'm a little premature in blurting out those 3 things, but I just kind of wanted to blurt something out. So there you go.
Premature blurtification. Riona, what about yourself?
Well, I have been spending a little bit of time investigating AI, and I've come across a lot of different sites that are utilizing AI in education. And then I've come across another site that is specific AI for writers themselves. And let me see if I can find the name of it really quick. Let me pull it up. It is Um, Squibbler.io, and I haven't looked at it at all very much, but it was really intriguing to me that there's so many different AI niches, I guess. And so because I know that we all sort of started out looking at and utilizing the fun things that Chat GPT offers. And but I subscribe to an AI newsletter because I'm always interested in what is happening, like AI video, AI film, AI. And so that was the big one that I ran across this week, was Squibbler.io. And I haven't dived into it at all, but it really looked like it was something that could be a literal tool for a writer much more than what ChatGPT offers. And so I thought that was interesting.
Right
Super
on.
interesting.
Yeah, hey, I just want to chime in here because it tees me up perfectly. I've been doing AI. I've shared an article that I wrote about AI to the Nest, and yesterday I believe Apple announced a really big deal product update where they're going to be integrating AI that runs on board on all their devices. So that's what I'm studying in Web3 writer world.
Dude, did you see that Elon Musk actually came out and said if Apple incorporates Chat GPT on the iPhone level into their devices, he's going to ban the devices from all of his company's headquarters, offices, and buildings. Like, it's so inflammatory.
There is such a security concern here. If you ever get a chance to talk to Drafton a little bit about dialogues and like the whole security thing that we had, like conversation wise around that, and kind of why Secret Network is the perfect page DAO partner to bring real security, decentralized open source software that people can see in action, that doesn't break and it doesn't have security problems, that can be used on this type of scale. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. I mean, it's the holy grail of cloud computing. Can you do this in a secure, decentralized fashion without abusing your users or exposing them to new attack vectors?
Musashi, I saw your hand go up. I know you got something to say about this.
Well, Dylan spoke to some of it, I'm a big proponent both of utilizing AI and staying far, far, far away from centralized AI products. I think that they are the end of many things, which could include yourself. But the decentralized AI models, the open source AI models, things that can be audited, these are crucial. And I have no idea how my computer just opened up some sort of voice tab. I'm going to jump off.
Oh my God. You know what? That is the ghost in the machine right there. I don't think that's the original use of that phrase, but we'll use it right there. Spire, let's just take this opportunity to welcome you up onto the stage. Please open up your mic, introduce yourself, tell us what you're all about, and feel free to wow us or, just to say hi as you like. No pressure.
Cool. Yeah. Hey guys, good to be here. I'm Zach. We have H here as well. That's Harry. He's sort of our front end operations guy. So Spire, I'll just give you like a quick elevator pitch here. We do lore for GameFi, and we devised this system that runs contests automatically, where it kind of works like a blockchain in itself, where you're doing writing and then other artwork and stuff eventually, but each sort of piece of the chain is one chapter to a story. And so everyone, enters this contest by submitting an entry, and then a winner is selected, and that becomes, the canon, the chapter 2 or the chapter whatever. And we've been going at it for about a year and a half now since we started building this, maybe 2 years. We also have, I see Topper in here. He's one of the admins for the Realm team, which is our first partner. And yeah, so we're exploring how this works. We kind of look at the writing as, you know, it stands alone already as these awesome, you know, pieces of writing that we've done and our community members have done. But we're also looking at it as sort of like a back end code or like a movie scripts, because there's these on-chain sort of building blocks. And from there, we are adding, you know, artwork contests, which are really popular, and soon, you know, music and videos and so on. And what we've been needing is more writers to jump in and see how valuable like it is to have that good baseline of writing. So it's been a wonderful experiment to explore how this works, and it's such a perfect, you know, segue for writers to get involved with like minting stuff on chain, you know, not only with Spire but with PageDAO. And it's cool to see these protocols come about, because it's just a matter of time before these kind of systems end up working really well for streamlining, you know, entrepreneurial writer people to do something that's you know, profound and interesting.
It's amazing. It's so about 2 years into it, and believe me, I know the time just sort of runs into each other. It's like, oh my God, has this been a year, 6 months, 3 years, 24 years? It starts to feel that way sometimes. Like PageDAO. I mean, Dylan, when did we publish those first WIP books, the work in progress publishing books? How long ago was that?
Right at about 3 years, CD. I think it was about this time of year, maybe a little bit earlier, in 2021, amazingly enough.
I mean, that is amazing. That's like, you know, people think about like Bored Apes being the start of the NFT mania, and that's like that's right at that point. I mean, I remember it was like January, I think you and I were already talking about at the time Lit Ether and God, what was the Genesis organization before WIT Publishing? It was what was it?
Alexandria. We started off with the code name. It was Alexandria, and then we had to start a startup because our accelerator wanted us to. And so we came up with WIT Publishing kind of on the fly. And that lasted right at 2 years and was the org that took on all the legal liability and stuff for founding the page. So it actually got dissolved about this time last year.
Yeah, there was Libernet also was another one.
Oh my God, I forgot one of the steps.
Well, that's what happens. I mean, we go back, and like in 3 years, we'll be doing this with Spire, with Zach and everybody else too. You know, and Masashi will be like, "Wait a minute, you guys missed something. You missed this entire step that we went through." Masashi, by the way, you are really good at that.
Can I I'll give a bit of a background, you know, seeing the Avagachi that Musashi's got. So in 2021, like I've been involved with Avagachi since the start, actually. I went to a conference in Miami and met up with one of the Avagachi guys and was asking them like, hey, do you guys need to you need some lore? And we're trying to like brainstorm some things. Nothing came from that conversation, probably because I wasn't really ready. I was just swimming around with ideas about what to do, but kind of seeing that there's definitely something, you know, on chain plus writing that can happen. Later that year, a Loot project started, right, which is like the text pictures and everything, and that spurned on like they had a little writers guild and stuff. So myself and other people were jumping in there, and we were writing all this like super decentralized lore. We're like, oh, this is gonna be great. You know, how are we gonna structure this? But every time it was this discussion about, all right, so how do we structure it? We would just fall back on like, oh, anyone can write anything. It's decentralized, which was true, but it's kind of frustrating. And what myself and my now team members for Spire learned was that you do need a structure, you need a canvas, and you have to have rules, and you get creative because of those restrictions. So we spent, you know, quite a while ideating. The Treasure DAO ecosystem formed from there, and we found some writers and gamers and artists and so on, and moved to actually build out Spire. So it's this process of just following along, finding the creative people, and that's kind of worked for us to just like let it flow. And I think now we're looking to, you know, get more involved with actual writer ecosystems, because it's cool that this is becoming like everyone knows, you know, on-chain writing is going to come in a big way. It's one of those like, a year from now, and be like, oh, the narrative, and they have all these gambly versions of things on chain. But for now, I think it's probably a really fun, peaceful arena because not too many people are talking about this yet. So myself and my team are interested to get more involved and kind of synthesize things with you guys.
It always kind of blows my mind that people aren't talking about it yet. I mean, the fact that the writing on chain hasn't just absolutely exploded, um, it really does blow my mind. I mean, writing is such a key technology of civilization, and blockchain is such a civilization changing
Definitely.
technology. It just totally makes sense that they would explode together.
I would even go one step further and say, as some of the AI stuff is able to do code, able to do all the logical stuff better than a human brain can, in the coming years, what's left to type on your keyboard but stories? I mean, this is what human beings are going to be able to do best and do most. So I think that's kind of the future of coding in a way, is writing stories. I mean, it's a grand sort of theory, but I've been playing around with it, and it's starting to make sense.
Maybe you can explore that just a little bit
It's
more,
so
if you don't mind.
So in terms of like programming things, in terms of tapping away, rather like, you can make movies and so on with your computer, but when we're talking about coding things and having them work together digitally, the systems that are being created, in any traditional coding format, it's so much based on logic, because it's just literally like, this is going to work or it's not. There's already a desired outcome. Whereas any creative process, it doesn't really have an explicit like purpose or point or even theme, although we like to, say that the point of the story is this. It's more just like this artistic expression that someone had this desire to create. And what we're looking at with, doing our stories on chain is that you do need the human element there in some aspect. And one way to look at that is like any valuable tokenized anything. It's really just, if there's no story there, then there's no value. Like, even if you look at like the first, autoglyphs are a good example, like the 500, generative art pieces, they look kind of, frankly boring, but when you hear the story about them, that's what makes them fascinating. Same with, CryptoPunks and anything else. And now as we have AI come and do a lot of this stuff on its own, you can have 10 million, mid-journey pictures. You can have ChatGPT write books. Why is anyone going to read that stuff if there's no lore behind the lore, essentially? Like, if there's no story behind it, then it just doesn't mean that much that you had some AI generative artwork. But if you hear the story about the guy who created it and when he created it and why, then it becomes super fascinating. And I think that's what's going to happen with all sort of on-chain stuff. And I know I'm kind of like trailing off here, but in a sense, a blockchain is just a story anyway. And we're going from these kind of first principles of like, okay, blockchains are stories of digits, first of all. Like, Bitcoin is just this ledger of like numbers. But as we mature more towards like, all right, we got the financial side of things figured out in terms of what blockchains do, what does that mean for the cultural side of things? And we explored, last cycle pictures and the NFT craze. I think we're going to get a bit deeper here, and it's good to really get entrenched in how important the good writing is as the foundation for all of that.
It's so good to hear this when with someone else speaking besides me, because I mean, yeah, buddy, like this is like my whole thing. Yeah, I love it. Human beings are the ones that figure out where the meaning is, and the meaning is the thing that has the value.
Truth getting dropped all around. Yeah, I feel like you could have almost done like a mic drop at the end of that, and it would it would have worked. Um, hey, in the audience right now, I see Easy in Crypto and Authored Style, guys who we love and we love to hear from. I've sent you guys both invites to get you up on the stage, by the way. If you can come up, we'd love to hear what you've been up to, what's been new in your world. If you can't come up, that's okay. We understand, but we're just happy to have you here, and we look forward to the next time that you can come up. Uh, okay, this is the point where I shut off my mic again and say, what would you guys like to talk about?
I think it would be great to have everyone talk a little bit about what advice they would give people, because I've seen some new people in the audience today, and we may have some new listeners coming around the bend. And if we could give, because we've been here such a long time, if we could each give some advice, where would you start? Where would you go first? Like if you're a new writer to the Web3 space, what would be the first place that all of us would advise someone to stop? Where would you go? What would be the who would you want to talk to first, and how do you become part of the community that we so love and that we're building here?
I'll take that bait.
What an awesome question.
Um, okay, so what I would say, and this is what I would tell anybody coming into the Web3 writing space, is find one community, because we're all connected. All of our communities are connected. So find one community and then resist the urge to branch out into a bunch of other communities right away, and just entrench yourself in that community. Spend time getting to know the people, spend time interacting, spend time having fun, playing games. I mean, that is essentially what PageDAO was for me. It was a place to just like, I had three discords that I originally really spent a lot of time in. One of them was PageDAO. Another one was the Bald Jesus DAO, which or the Bald Jesus uh, Discord, and then a third was Doctor Who Worlds Apart. And those three communities, just like that, built everything that is Web3 for me. From those, the intersection of those three. There might have been one more, maybe Pixel Vault was another one that I was in. But yeah, find a great community and dive down deep into that one. Maybe two or three, but avoid the temptation to get into 100, because as soon as you start doing that, your energy gets dispersed and you lose track of people and you lose what community is all about. So focus, focus, focus. Thanks for the question, Riona. Dylan, I think we started at the same time, so you're up for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, well said, man. Do not try to be easy in crypto, people. I still don't know how he does it, and I've been here for several years. What I would say about publishing is write about what you know. Like as you're getting involved, write down the questions that you have and send those to your community. Because what's written down is kind of like accessible, it's kind of ossified. You can judge the responses that you get with it. And people really appreciate the value of the written word in Web3. I find more and more, that it was no coincidence that I was onboarded to Web3 in the first place by, writing a bunch of articles about it, in which I kind of figured out how all the different ecosystems worked. And, so that gave me that solid foundation that CD's talking about. The biggest community for me was Rider.io. They're not around anymore. But the people that were part of it still are, and we're mostly at PageDAO and Underground. But we also have block leaders. What's up, Lisa? I see you out in the audience. Hey, hope you're having a good day today.
I would say if there's a little chance to speak, uh, for people that are into poetry, this since that corresponds with what I'm doing. I would say if you're just starting out in Web3, it depends a lot on how much experience you have already. So if you have a lot of experience writing poetry, then you know all the barriers that you have sending poems, publications, and the long turnaround times, and their insistence that you not display your poem elsewhere so that they can appear first on the on their site. Uh, if you're familiar with that, then you can immediately see some of the benefits of Web3 because you can immediately bypass a lot of that stuff. But part of the thing to realize is that it requires a lot of self promotion, which you already have to do as an author. But here, the self promotion is a little bit different. So what I would do if I were just starting out, I came into this just because I'm interested in technology, and that's how I found out about the Web3 part. Um, I'm not sure how future poets would get into this specific space, but I would, echoing some of the advice given, I would, find a community. That's the most important thing, and find out what works and what doesn't. Because there's a lot of times I know a lot of poets that have, put poems out on as NFTs, and then they're expecting it to immediately get bought, and it doesn't get bought, and then they get kind of depressed and down or whatever. And just to realize that I know a lot of people that where they have many poems out there, and they're kind of ignored for several years, and then somebody will grab 3 or 4 of them. So it's a kind of thing where not to give up, and I would be a little bit contrarian on sticking to one group, because I like the idea of spreading around on different blockchains, and because poems are so small, if you write small poems, of course, uh, I would I would try to sprinkle out your poems along different places, and that gives you a wider reach. Now this works because you can do it with, there's a certain amount of time it takes to write a poem, and it's a lot less time than to write an entire book. So that kind of advice would work for people that are writing in short spurts, I think. Not so much for people that are going to devote a lot of time to one large work. But I guess that's the advice I would give. And if you're just starting out, that was all advice for people that have experience. But if you're just starting out, uh, beware of ChatGPT. See what ChatGPT, the kind of poetry that it emits, and then make sure that your stuff looks different, so that people don't assume that you're, just kind of getting this ChatGPT thing to write it for you. And I'll keep it at that.
Okay, that leaves Spire and Riona on the stage. Oh, Musashi also. All right, I'm hearing silence, you guys. I see we've been joined by Jesse Wrights X, technical writer at Definity, which, the best backpack I have actually came from Definity, from the launch party. I love that backpack. I use it. I've traveled around the world with it, actually. So, Jesse, really glad to have you here. If you also, looking at your profile, I see that you are the author of the Ultimate Web3 Pocket Guide and mastering Web3 documentation. So if you want to come up on the stage and share any of that stuff with us, we are your audience for sure. Um, but if you don't, Riona, you have to answer your own question.
Yes, yes, definitely. I can 100% answer my own question. So I would suggest definitely jumping in and following along with Vagabond Magazine and Paged Out, of course, 100%. And then the people in this space right here. The people who are here up on the stage, we generally come every single week. We're here, well, all of us, most all of the time, we come every single week. And we are great, great resources for if you are a poet, then jump in and chat with Odd Writings. If you are someone who's really interested in academia, talk with T. Dylan Daniel. If you're someone that's really interested in publication and messaging, talk with CD Demitio. And so all of these people, all of us, we really want to help grow. We really want to help uplift. And I definitely would say, come meet us, come talk with us, come spend some time with us. Musashi is a wealth of information, and it's just inspire. It's so wonderful to get to know you and EZ and Lisa and Alfred Style, like all of you who are here every single week, week after week. It's so wonderful to know you, and I'm always just blown away about the amount of information that you share and the amount of knowledge collectively, like what CD's grandmother um, imparted to him. That we are so strong together, and I just think that we're going to build an amazing place for writers, and the people who are here are really the heart of all of that, and come join us and come be part of the heart, so that we can build this great universe of writers in Web3.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to hear. Those are wise words. I just want to echo a bit of the sentiment around community. Personally with myself and other writers, we've had times where there's writer's block and creative blocks in a lot of ways. And one of the things that I feel is really helpful is being in a community where you're jumping off other ideas, where you're really joining a conversation and you're seeing that, when you can't figure out what to do or how to express yourself or how to, birth some new idea, oftentimes it's because you don't really know what conversation you're in and you're kind of isolated. You don't know how to connect there. So something that we're exploring with Spire and on a community level is seeing how important that is to just be able to put yourself out there in new and in challenging ways, and seeing how that's how things end up sparking.
Yeah, and it's funny, Dylan mentioned Easy in crypto and how Easy is like in 500 different discords and communities. Another person like that actually is Musashi, because Musashi, every time I like in a conversation with Musashi, you can say like, yeah, I'm installing a new bathroom window, and Musashi will be like, oh, you should join the new bathroom window DAO. Like he knows basically every DAO that exists in the entire space. The new bathroom window DAO, I just made that one up, but it probably does exist, and Musashi is probably a member of it. So there is something to be said for joining all these different communities, but the thing to avoid is burnout. It's really easy to get burnout and to have too much expectations and too much on your plate all at once. So I want to sort of like modify my advice, and that's like grab a couple core communities that you're a part of and focus your energy there, but then explore all the threads, and don't be scared to get out there and explore the new things as well. And Easy, we really do need to get you up on the stage, man. We haven't heard from you forever.
Yeah, it's been like 100 years. Like we got to get Easy invited up. I also think maybe if you guys want to meet Bert, I would love to meet Bert. He's somebody that I know from FrinTech, and he's been going around sharing the link to this space in some of the chats. So I definitely have to give you a shout out, Bert. Thanks for all you do, sir. Oh, and also welcome to the page.
That's why I
Bert
see.
He's out.
He's like, I'm shy. I'm out of here, man. You called me out.
Yeah, well, let's welcome Jesse Wrights. I can see that she's now a speaker, so I say she because of the picture. So I don't know if it's actually a she, but welcome.
Your mic is off, but we can't hear you. Or your mic is on, but we can't hear you, Jesse. Maybe try one more time.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything either.
Oh, dag nabbit. We wanted to hear you too. Okay, well, my suggestion, Jesse, would be open your mic one more time and try to speak, see if that works. If not, we can drop you down off the stage and bring you back up, and maybe sometimes that solves the issue. And yeah, Dylan Burt just like flying out as soon as you called him out. That really cracked me up, man.
Oh, it's funny, huh? But man, I just had my iPad update to iOS version 18, which I believe may give me some new capabilities. So I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. Very excited.
Okay, I just sent the invite again for Jesse, so we'll see if we get you up here this time. Okay, you're on the stage. Let's see if it works now.
All right, are we live?
Yes, that totally
Okay.
worked.
Evidently, the web version of Spaces still has some bugs to work out. I know that other people have had some issues with it on Spaces, but I thought I'd give it a try today, and I guess it isn't in my favor either. So back to the mobile device we go. But
Well,
hey,
like, here's.
everyone. Good
Oh, you're
to
good.
get invited up to speak. I really appreciate that. I don't see a lot of writing spaces these days anymore in Web3, so I saw the title and I had to pop in and see what was happening. I've been in the Web3 space for going on about 4 years now, and speaking of communities, I will say the writing communities that pop up just never seem to take root and make it. I feel like window or like bathroom window DAOs have more of a chance to try and make a community than writing communities, and I'm not really sure why that is. I know that there's been a lot of really great efforts with communities. There was Greg Younger who tried to start the Write 3 initiative, combining the word write and Web3. And I know that he's abandoned that since it just didn't take off and really go anywhere. And then I know several publishing houses have tried to use Web3 tech and implement it. I did that for my first book, The Ultimate Web3 Pocket Guide. I published it traditionally, but then I also tried to publish it through Nifty Lit, who was a literary magazine that was trying to do blockchain, and it did not work. I mean, the NFT itself worked, but nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted the blockchain version. So as a technical writer, I'm always in the space because there's always, the technical aspect to write about, but even then, it's really, really hard for me to find other technical writers that want to talk about writing in Web3, that want to have conversations and have communities built around it. I tried to do a Web3 white paper club at one point, which was embarrassingly not well received because nobody wants to sit around and read white papers in their free time, except for me, I guess. So it's interesting to hear that traditional writers that aren't writing about technical things and are just trying to publish on chain are kind of having the same pitfalls where they're not able to get a lot of traction. And I heard your suggestion of posting poems in multiple chains and multiple ecosystems to try and get a bigger layout of where your content is and trying to get better footing in different ecosystems. And that, I think that's a great strategy. There's definitely a lot of really great ecosystems out there. It just depends, I guess, on the tooling that's available in each ecosystem. So, the Ethereum based ecosystems have a certain tooling and set of projects, then Solana has a different one. And there are some goods and bads to a lot of the others, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone's had any success with one particular tool or one particular platform, and if they have actually been able to feel like they've gotten a foothold somewhere, or if it feels like we're all just kind of trying to write on chain, not really doing it, rinse repeating, and losing community members along the way.
You're in the right place, Jesse. I mean, I think with this community, there is probably not a platform that we haven't used or experimented with. Everything from Creatokia to, using some of the ICP stuff to Soul Type to Readle to PageDAO itself and Vagobond magazine. Like we run the gamut, and the reason why we're all still here is because we're all experimenters and we all just keep going. We refuse to give up. So there is a lot going on here. I know George Odd Writings has played around with the ICP and Definity stuff. Some I have as well. But I saw Dylan threw his hand up too, and I think you're going to get more answer than you possibly bargained for from all of us here.
Yeah, I mean, we can overshare sometimes, but I just wanted to be real upfront and just kind of to the point here and say T2. Not only do they have wonderful writing competitions, but they also measure the time points as people spend reading your work. And it's not quite to Web3 status yet, but I know for a fact that they're working that way because I'm talking to them about that to some extent. And so I do think that whether it's technical, because all my stuff is super technical, or not, we do have sort of a Web3 medium type of platform that's emerging that has been really, really nice, in my opinion, at the very least. And I'm sure everybody has their own that they could name. So there is hope for Web3 publishing.
And I think we all remember Greg the Younger. He, I think every one of us is like, oh, Greg, and then when he kind of faded away, it was like, oh no, But yeah, we just keep on going. There's lots of things out there. They're very minor. A lot of them are small. A lot of them are bigger. I would recommend Vagobond magazine because it's CD. Riona Morgan has her own publishing thing. So we're still going. Just keep on trying.
Wait, well, let's dive into Greg Younger for a minute. Like I love Greg. Greg and Riona, myself, and Edward Carpenter, we all sat on a panel at NFT NYC together, which was the future of publishing, or it might have been the future of books. Riona, you can correct me on that if you want. But Greg is such a lovable guy, and he really he came from a marketing background. And the reason why he came into Web3 in the first place was because he saw an opportunity to make a bunch of money. And as soon as he saw that, like, hey, there's not a bunch of money in Web3 writing, I'm out of here. He like split. And we do joke about it. And Greg, if you hear this at some point, just know that we love you. But Greg saw where the money was really at, and that was in waxing people's backs. And so he moved from Web3 writing and Write3 to Wax3. So wax on, wax off. Riona, what was the name of our panel?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I think it was nope, I don't know. It's completely gone. I cannot remember. Something about books on the blockchain future. I don't know. It was a great panel though. We had a lovely time, and it was really so much fun to talk about all of our thoughts about where and how we felt like literature would be in the future, and we are still headed that way. And Dylan, I think it would be a great opportunity now for you to introduce Jesse to PageDAO and what's happening there and what's being built there, and that she will be able to easily find a home at PageDAO. So I'm going to pass the mic to you so you can talk about that.
Truth, and we're going to extend the space
Hey,
a little
absolutely.
bit too, Dylan. So we have a little bit of time, and also it looks like Bert got over his shyness and came back. So maybe if you want to bring him up on the stage too, that would be cool. But Dylan, all yours.
Okay, thanks, CD. And thank you, Rihanna. Okay, Jesse. So with PageDAO, what we've got is a community that was initially founded by writers who wanted to see a better publishing experience for books and long form things that are less supported initially in kind of the pop culture. So things like science, poetry is a big part of what we're hoping to build towards. And right now, it's a very special time at the PageDAO because we released a product in late 2021, and we collected intel on basically the way that launch went for years. And now we're finally at a point where we have managed to stand up most of the organization in terms of the tooling. So we have, an R&D department, we have a community and publishing department. We have a big community of people who get together on Discord, but also here on X/Twitter/ pretty much any Web3 social media platform you can think of. And across all these different domains, there's one really durable meme at the heart of it, which, we started off with, and we've said so many times that now it's a little bit of a cliche, but, the Library of Alexandria on the blockchain. So as a writer, what I want and what I want to see built is basically a tool where I can publish my content and it stays there, and I don't have platform risk because I've had my work, become unavailable in the past after I wrote. This has happened a number of times. It's like you get the rug kind of pulled on you by the platform that you're writing to, and just where do you go from there as an individual person? You generally don't have the resources to just solve that technical problem. So what we need to do is work together as a community of people, to develop the tools that we actually need and put them in places where they actually do change the shape of the game in terms of the publishing industry. And so we would be so honored to have you follow the PageDAO account here on X, maybe jump in the Discord, If you do other Web3 media type stuff, maybe we have a presence there. So basically, there's just so many opportunities at this point to interface with the DAO, to not only publish to the tools that we have, but also we're building new tools that allow users to come in and say, hey, what about this? And that goes to our developer team and our R&D department. And more often than not, you can actually see like progress in terms of a technical conversation that comes about as a result of the actual ideas that we have on the ground, writing and distributing our written words. So to me, this is a really, really hopeful sign, because we have Web3 technologies coming up and being used in new ways. And then we also have sort of a machine that can do this, into the future, with I would say like good accuracy, relative to what the actual people that they're actually using these technologies want. And I don't know. I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, because I've been involved with PageDAO since day one. But in my biased view, this looks like a thing that could really, kind of start to change the game in more ways than one. You got monetization, you got access to what the tech looks like. You have the capability to end up, influencing the shape of things moving forward. And then on top of that, you've got all of the Web3 benefits, like the advanced payment and transaction rails and immutable content storage, decentralized hosting. So it's just kind of a perfect storm of everything I want as a writer. People that want to read my work, whole nine. I mean, I think almost regardless of what you're looking for in terms of value for your written words, you will find it more easily at PageDAO than anywhere else on the internet.
Yeah, and you might all actually find a group of people that would be interested in something called White Paper Club or White Paper DAO. Jesse, I was thinking we might talk a lot after that question, but I just want to give you a chance to come up for air if you like.
Yeah, no, that's some great insight. I've heard of PageDAO, but I haven't looked too much into you guys. So I'll definitely take a closer look and learn more and take a look at your documentation, since that's where I personally always start with learning about somebody, is taking a look at their docs and the state of their docs. So yeah, I'll definitely take a look, and I appreciate everyone's insight and feedback. And it's interesting to hear that Greg went on to Wax, because I didn't know that. And I will say, Greg was the only one who bought an NFT version of my book. So big props to Greg. He was very supportive in that regard. And I was on some of his Twitter Spaces back in the day, and I was always really jealous of his creativity with the word "write 3," and I was always like, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?" But if he's moved on to waxing, is there room to now reinvent the tool or the term? So I'm just kidding. But yeah, thanks guys. I'll definitely check out those different platforms you guys mentioned.
Yep, and I've invited Bert up, but Bert, it seems like you're here, but you're not coming up right at the moment. So maybe we'll start wrapping up this space. And I do want to say that we've thought about revisiting the term "Write 3." I just the reason why we haven't is, I think Riona and I are both still active in all the Write 3 communities, but it just seems like it's so. It's since the communities are still there, but Greg's not. It's just sort of a dead thing. So I think it might be best to just leave Write 3 on the ground where it lay until Greg decides waxing isn't his thing and he comes back. Which maybe he can combine the two. A book about waxing on Web3 would be the way to go. Greg, if you're listening, that idea is free. You can have it. Okay, Riona, anything else you'd like to share before we close this space out for the day?
No, I think that's really great. And Jesse, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm glad that you're here with us. And so thank you everyone so much for coming, and it's wonderful to see you.
And the way that we typically close out this space, we've been doing it for a few years now, is I live in the beautiful state of Hawaii, the island nation of Hawaii, and we have a word here called aloha. And aloha means hello, it means goodbye, it also means love, and we're all breathing the same air. Aloha. So what we'd like to do is to close out this space, and just everybody that's on the stage, just open your mic, and at the count of 3, just say aloha. So the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Web3 Writers is brought to you by Vagobond Magazine and published on Apple Podcasts through the Substack app. You can find all the episodes on Apple Podcasts or at Vagobond, vagobond.substack.com. Our theme music is composed by the amazingly talented Paolo Argento and brought to us courtesy of Pixabay. You can find the link in the show notes.